Hello, this is Spider Dan of the Secret Balls, here with Mike of Genuine Chit-Chat and the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival, and we are here with author extraordinaire Faith Roswell, author of Movie Monsters of the Deep, and you'll also be introducing Alligator later.
Yes, I will.
Later, Alligator. So yes, with this festival, it is ocean themed, so you are the perfect person to be here, given your oceanic interests.
Thank you. Yes, it's been an amazing bit of serendipity that we've got Forbidden Worlds of the Deep as the theme of the festival. And then my book came out almost a year today, Movie Monsters of the Deep.
And you've almost sold out.
I have actually sold out. That is my author copy, my personal copy,
right.
that if someone really, 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 really wants a copy, I will give it up. But if officially I'm sold out.
Absolutely. Well, given the oceanic theme, I wanted to ask, now, you are introducing Alligator, which is a personal favourite of mine and a banger to absolutely take the festival out on. So I cannot wait for that. But if there was another aquatic theme movie, perhaps one of those in your book, what would you pick to have on at the festival if you had the choice?
I mean, I think things like Jaws and Deep Blue Sea, everybody has heard about, a lot of people know about. So if I was going to choose something that maybe is not quite so well known for people that like that silly, funny, also terrifying moments.
Yes, please.
Deep Rising.
Oh, good shout. Yes. Yeah. Very, very nice. Yeah. Very underrated, I think. And that is kind of a bit Aliens-y a bit as well.
It is. Yeah. I think it hits a lot of the same notes as Alligator in that it's got that moments of absolute grotesque, glorious gore, but at the same time, it's really, really funny.
Oh, also an amazing cast.
Yes.
And a secret prequel to a film that never came out as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was one of those. So it's been so long since I actually watched Deep Rising that I'd forgotten about some of the lore behind it.
Yes.
So
apparently it was going to be a secret prequel to a new King Kong movie. But it never occurred, never happened.
Which explains. I don't want to spoil the ending.
No.
Hinted at in the ending. That's all I'll say. Go watch it.
Yes, perhaps, maybe. But I also wanted to ask, because this year we've got Gail Ann Hurd here, an absolute Hollywood legend, and is the official Forbidden Worlds legend. If you could choose your own legend, who would you have?
Oh, you say? Damn, I should have asked for those questions in advance, shouldn't I? Really. One that can speak or one that can't, because the legend that started it all would, of course, been Bruce the Terrible Rubber Shark. I mean, if we can have our own legend, then I want like Natural History Museum style hanging from the ceiling on little hooks with his electronics hanging out as the mascot. We want Bruce the Rubber Shark. But
I think if you're voicing Bruce and they've got the mouth moving, can you imagine? You could do your introduction like that. That would be incredible.
I think Bruce suddenly appearing with the voice of a British woman would absolutely kill everyone in the best possible way.
Absolutely. Well, those are my questions. Thank you for answering them, and thank you very much for your time today.
It's been a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Dan did a great intro there, so amazing. Obviously, the book, Movie Monsters of the Deep and things, but delving into Forbidden Worlds Film Festival in itself. So have you been to any film festivals before?
I actually haven't.
Nor had I. This is my first one as well. Hey! So, like, with that in mind, like, what is film to you, in essence? You know, what obviously, you love the sort of Monsters of the Deep, and I assume, like, horror-y things as well by your answers. So, like, what is film to you? What appeals to you about film in general?
I think, in a way, it's... in the current moment, I think it's escapism. I love the idea of going into literally another world. But it's also very fascinating then to look back on, because in decades and years to come, you can see a window into society and into life in general by looking at what people find terrifying, what people find scary, what people are interested in. So at the moment, I'm just enjoying getting a chance to watch things like Tremors. But I think I was talking to someone actually recently. I've had some great film discussions that looking at, COVID's the obvious example, the wave of creativity that happened when people said, I don't have anything that I can do with any kind of budget because we're all locked in our homes. So let's make an award-winning film through nothing but webcam. And you think, in a weirdly very philosophical way, I've gone completely into down the philosophical route, but films show that creativity will prevail no matter what.
No, that's perfect, because it's like one of the beauty of film is because it's all about expression.
Yeah.
And it's like, one of the things, Dan and I are big fans of horror movies as well. And horror, I think from a lot of mainstream individuals, they don't always appreciate horror because they just dismiss it. But actually, Dan and I always having the conversations that a lot of sci-fi, but mainly horror, is always breaking those boundaries. You've got people who will do anything. Some of the behind the scenes stories of horror films are just incredible. And it's unlimited creativity where you set your own boundaries. And is that one of the other reasons why, with this book in itself, like, is that why this kind of thing sort of appeals to you in the film realm?
Yes, definitely. I think that horror is a primal emotion, and so I love that people make it fun as well, because you've got things like Deep Rising, but also like Tremors, and there's that horror comedy aspect. And I go into the creation of horror comedy in my book. But then you've also got those images that stay with you, like Jaws, that you won't ever get out of your head because it sparked such a wave of fear of sharks. But then I've had to explain this before to some people that maybe aren't necessarily horror fans. I've had to explain about that horror can be very beautiful. My favourite film on the planet possibly ever that's relatively recent is Annihilation.
Oh, that's a good one. I love Alex Garland, so I'm a
Me
massive...
too.
And I love Oscar Isaac. He's in my top 3 actors as well. And also, Tessa Thompson's amazing. And the whole cast is incredible in that, Natalie Portman. So quick on Annihilation, then. What about Annihilation you love so much?
The fact that you've got this... You think of horror and everybody thinks of dark and black and gothic, and anyone that sees me knows that's a bit more of my aesthetic. But you never thought that rainbow colours, this soap bubble, dreamy aesthetic, and crystals on a beach sounds very hippie-ish, but actually it's bone-chilling. And then you look at films like Midsummer.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
One of the only horror films that's all in the daytime. Yeah. And that makes it more creepy because it's like dissonance, isn't it, to what you expect?
Yeah. And back to what you're saying about Alex Garland, that in my opinion, one of the most horrendous shark attacks in any film ever is actually the one in the beach. And at no point do you see the shark.
No.
I know there's one where
just the aftermath.
Yeah, where Leo DiCaprio is having this fake little argument with the shark, and that's kind of funny but scary. But then that moment of just what the hell happened, and that slow realization is that
the horror.
Yeah.
The horror of it all. Well, that's the thing. It's a great cover, because I always say to people, Alex Garland's one of my favourites because he made Deus Ex Machina, which is probably my favourite film of all time. But then also, as you said, like, he wrote the book of The Beach. Yeah. He's worked with Danny Boyle. He wrote the screenplay of 28 Days Later.
Yes.
Like, he's so involved in things people don't expect. He involves in video games and stuff as well. One of the new Devil May Cry games, he wrote the screenplay for that as well. So it's like his fingerprints can be felt all over different elements. And even if it's not overtly horror, he definitely is a fan of horror. He's got his finger on the pulse there.
Yes. Absolutely. One thing, so I watched Ex Machina on my own, house sitting in my friend's flat, which is at a converted warehouse. So it's these stark grey walls, and I was underneath blankets with just my eyes looking out. But the one thing I think I loved about that film, there was not a single jump scare.
No.
So the people that don't like horror because they don't like being made to jump, they don't like those jump scares, that's a really good film to watch, because I promise you there's nothing in there that's going to make you jump. There's just this creeping sense of utter dread.
Yes.
Throughout the whole
and it
film.
Stays with you after. You think about things, and the way it leads you without spoiling it, the way it leads you down a certain path, and you think, I know where this film's going. And you're like, no, you don't. And it's genius.
What do you think about the theory that the lead man in it is actually a robot too, and he's being tested? Have you heard that one?
Yeah, because I know that I wonder if that was part of Alex Garland's thinking in it, because it's like, there is that scene where Domhnall Gleeson's like looking in the mirror and kind of checking himself as well. And then, with Oscar Isaac, it's like the mystery around him. And it's like, I feel like it certainly could be the case. But I think that Alex Garland, the way he directs things is he's good with subtlety. He doesn't hold your hand all the time. So I think the beauty of films like that is that you could have an entire conversation about the theory of that, and it wouldn't necessarily be right or wrong, because he lets you make your own decisions. So I love that.
Me too. For me, it was the outfit. It's the fact that if you look at their outfits, they've got almost the exact same lines on their costumes, and you just think, oh, if that's she's Mark 2, 3, whatever, is he the 10th iteration, and he just, to the point that now he doesn't know he's a robot.
That's genius. That's a really good. I love that theory. But the last question we'll have of this again, and hopefully I'll have her in the pod again, and we'll be able to have like a full-on conversation about it. But with your book, what was the impetus of you writing a book? It's a big upheaval, and especially something that's quite niche. What made you want to do that?
I have a bit of an obsession with shark movies and sea monster movies, but my background is actually in self-defense and psychology. So there have been a lot of books written about Jaws. There have been a lot of books written about movies. And I felt that I could offer a completely different perspective. I can give the encyclopedic, sometimes embarrassingly so, knowledge of monster movies. But I can look at the difference between what we're scared of then, what we're scared of now, why, what is it about the deep, the world of the ocean that scared sailors going on a first voyage, but also still scares us when we can see the under the sea. We can watch a David Attenborough documentary and see the very ocean bottom. What is it that makes all of us still so connected through our fear of the deep and what lives in it? So I felt that I could offer something completely new, that I could combine those two schools of thought, those two knowledges, and write something different.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I will be reading your book. I've got my own copy, which you very kindly signed, so thank you for that.
Much.
And Dan's got his own copy as well.
Yes.
So I'll be having you on the pod at some point in the future. I'll read the full book. We'll have a real in-depth discussion about it. And also, your book in itself has 100 movies that you recommend as well. So it's literally like the perfect book, whether you're a newbie to Monsters of the Deep in its concept, or if you're a veteran. It's really going to be an amazing book for any of those people.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really hope so. I've had some incredible feedback from people at the festival who bought my book on the first day, and now it's the third day, have started reading it and come back to talk to me about it. And that's a really big vote of confidence, very appreciated. So if you're listening out there and you've actually got my book, thank you so much.
Amazing stuff. Well, do you want to tell people your social media and things? I've already followed your Instagram and where they can find you, and then we'll wrap this up.
Absolutely. Yes, I am Faith, like the George Michael song, Roswell, like the place in New Mexico, Official, like officially official, and that you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on pretty much any social media going.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time there, Faith. It's
Thank
been
you.
an absolute delight. Thank you for making the time. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment with your thoughts, and check out all the other things we've tackled in the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival coverage. And you can check out the audio-only versions for all of our content on any podcast app, or check out the video versions on Genuine, Chit-Chat, or Spider Dan and the Secret Boars.